right, here we go. What's going on, you guys? It is Chris and Rod back with another episode of Should I Play That? What? What's up, Rod?
Good, man. Always good to hear the intro, the old reliable Chris intro. Love it. Gotta love it.
It has to be hype. It's the only way to start these things. These things have to be hype.
I'm awake.
I was actually going to go in a little bit more because guess what? This is episode 1. Well, not episode 1, but technically episode 1 of this podcast. Like we've, if you don't know, we've been podcasting for some time now, but this is the time that we decided to just go ahead and hit the ground running and see where this takes us. So this is the official episode 1.
Official. This is the official. We are. Should I play that? We're hitting the ground running. It's gonna be fun. Lots of good rebranding going on. We are on Spotify now. That's awesome.
So
yeah.
If you're listening to this, you should be listening to this either on SoundCloud, Spotify. We have some other things in the works pretty soon for some other platforms, but those are the two big ones right now. I'm really excited that we're out and we're on these big platforms. I'm glad that they opened it up for us smaller guys to jump on the brand, because a couple years ago it was hard. Spotify, you had to have a connect to be put on Spotify.
Yeah. Now they let people like us in, so the floodgates are just opened all kinds of ways. So, Go ahead. Just really quick, I just want to say thank you everybody for everyone who listened to episode 0 and everyone who's been tuning on into the streams that Chris has been doing for the past few days on Anthem. That has been awesome. We've had pretty decent numbers for our first streams. So thank you everybody who's tuned in.
Yeah, definitely. Those streams are pretty interesting. And what's interesting about streaming on Facebook is that Facebook is a unique platform where technically people aren't going to be there the whole time, especially if you're streaming a video game. They're there to pop in and out. So I've seen a couple people come in and out, ask a question, say what's up. And for all of you guys, I appreciate that. You're out and about in the day and then you see a notification pop up saying, hey, should I play that? It's playing Anthem. You're like, huh, let's see what this game's about. You turn it on, you see us yelling at the game. You're like, oh, okay, I guess I shouldn't play that. Cool.
Right. It's in the title.
Yeah. So that's part of it. I am happy that we're doing this again. And it's the feedback's been great. People have been messaging me, putting comments out there on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. The brand is getting stronger.
Yes, Twitter.
It's starting up. So go ahead and like us on Twitter as well. The only thing is that for some reason I can't figure out why it's doing this, but should I play that, but instead of a T at the end, it's a 1. So for the time being, guys, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's going to be at should I play that 1. Which is really weird to say.
Hey, it's unique, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're also on Instagram and SoundCloud. Listen to us there, or however you're listening to us. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for checking us out.
Yeah. So, shoot. Now that all of that's out of the way, which once again, many thanks. We'll never stop thanking you guys because we wouldn't be here without you guys. But let's go ahead and pop it off with what you've been playing. So it's interesting. This week, our what you've been playing is unified. Me and Rod have been both playing the same game, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a good disclaimer.
So this past week we've been playing Anthem, brand new game released, published by EA, good old EA, and made by Bioware. So you'd think, okay, it's a new Bioware game, which in fact the first new Bioware IP in how many years?
10 years, I think.
So you think it's gotta be good. The story has to be captivating, right?
Right.
Nah. It's not.
I was waiting for the other shoe to drop on that.
Yeah. So Rod, what's your opening thoughts on Anthem?
All right, let me go ahead and kick off my shoes, prop my feet up on the coffee table. Get real comfy because it's about to be a long ride. So, like you said, BioWare it, it has made this game. Let me preface everything I'm about to say by stating that I do not think that Anthem is a truly awful game. I'm not gonna speak for Chris, but for my money, I don't think that it is a completely, truly just dis- complete disaster. I think that there are a few things that are redeemable about the game, and I don't mind starting off with talking about that. Like that, some of the things that are cool in that game are things like the environments. I think the environments look really nice. So Anthem is, if you have not seen this game, it's a game about these mechanized or these mechanical suits called javelins. Humans pilot them. They fight. I'm assuming they're monsters of some sort. I don't even know. I've played 10, 15 hours of this game at this point. I don't know, but they're in combat constantly, obviously, and you're kind of going around this lush world. It's like Iron Man. You're controlling Iron Man essentially, and you have tons of weapons. You have elemental powers, and they have these really lush, beautiful environments that you can kind of go through, and they're mostly like kind of forest areas, and they look really, really nice. Like I love the idea of these waterfalls that are everywhere. They're all over the environment. You get some really cool. There's a lot of cool water effects. There's a lot of cool, just kind of greenery that kind of move with the wind. It looks really nice. I played a lot of it on the 4K TV. It looks great, and the flying feels nice. There are a lot of like the animations for it are really cool. You have a full motion flight. You have kind of a hover ability, and then you can sort of, and then, you can kind of drop. You can there is ground combat you can partake in, but for the most part you'll be flying, and luckily it is worth it for that alone. I think that the games that, let me back up. I don't think the game is worth it for the flying, but I think that the flying is good. They do kind of hamstring you a little bit because you have a meter that is kind of functions like a cooldown, where if you fly for too long, your suit will overheat, and so you have to go by water, or you have to hover near water or go through water, either underwater or through a waterfall or something, to completely restore your heat gauge. And so you can't just fly through the sky forever, basically. So there is a limit to that. But what is there is nice. It is cool. A couple of the javelins have like special abilities with flight. Like there's one that doesn't fly at all, actually, the Colossus. It's the bigger one. But there's also one that lets you fly for a longer time, or lets you hover for a longer time. And so I think that stuff is really cool. Chris, are those things that you liked about the game? Like what are the type of things that you liked about it?
Okay, so damn, like this. There's some things that I want to say that I like, but it's just, is it me really liking it or like justifying why I don't like hate it?
Mm, yeah. No, totally. That that's a really good question that I think we'll have to unpack on this episode.
Yeah, like everything you said about the environments, how the game looks, like that's, you could take that all on face value. Like that's great. That's what a AAA game should be. Like $60 game. They invested a ton of money into this game. It's a AAA game. It's supposed to be like that. But once that, you know, once you peel that away and you look at everything else, all right, hold on. You asked me what I liked. Hold on, let me shoot. What did I?
I
um,
mean, if there's nothing, that's totally fair too.
no, I don't want. That's the thing. I don't want to say that, but
But I mean, if you feel that way, then that's just how it is.
it's it's tough. Like I playing a loot shooter. Like I have to like start off with this. I played Destiny. You know, I played Destiny 2. Played Division a little bit. I've played what other big Warframe. Warframe's like I enjoyed. So I sort of know what comes with this territory of they're gonna release a product, they're gonna make some fixes, They're gonna balance some stuff. They're gonna add new content. It's a live service. It's something that you buy knowing that you're gonna be playing this for a while. So
Right.
going into this game, a lot of things that I don't like, I know that they potentially can fix or hopefully will fix. But and that's where my okay, I see where it could get better, and I can see where I can potentially like it. So that's sort of my like in a nutshell, too long didn't read answer is that like I feel like down the road the powers of the game will be I feel like that's I'm gonna say it's satisfying, but it's pretty cool. The game, like you have weapons, and each javelin has different abilities. I enjoyed that. Towards the end of my playthrough, I regret that I didn't do this, but playing as different each of the javelins, like they fundamentally all feel different. So I played most of the story as a Colossus, and like you were saying, that's like the heaviest. That's the tank. He instead of having a natural health bar and shield bar, he just has a health bar. And when you hit the circle button, which for other javelins is like a dodge or like a roll or something like that, the Colossus will then pull up like a physical shield, and bam, that's your shield. So he's really like a heavy character. I honestly played through most of the game pulling up my shield and running through enemies. Like bar none, like that's what I was like that front lines guy.
Yeah.
Whenever I went to like harder difficulties, I realized, hey, that's my role is basically survive. So I would go after ads, and if I saw people like getting hurt or being downed, I put up my shield, run over to them, pick them up.
So for you, the differences in the javelins were in the different javelins were it justified the playstyle. Like it was
Exactly.
okay, understood. So yeah,
So yeah, so going over to the interceptor. Interceptor is like your if you play Destiny, it's the hunter basically. It's your melee class, your quick class. Like the interceptor could literally like jump and like do loops and like outmaneuver your enemy. And I figured out that's like the best way to play that class. Don't get hit though, because if you get hit, that's it.
yeah,
Then you
glass
have
cannon.
glass cannon. Then you had the storm, which is your mage. So I thought that was really cool. You have your frost shards. You could throw down like a bolt of lightning.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was the one that I mostly did.
and then another thing, like you were saying, that class is the class that, for the most part, when you're in battle, because when you're flying in overworld, you can't technically fight while you're flying around. But when you're in battle, you can all the javelins can hover, but the storm class can basically hover for
A really
a
long time.
long time,
Yeah, yeah.
and I thought that was pretty cool. I played the ranger a little bit, which is supposed to be like the medium class. Is the starter javelin, the what you start the game with. It's basically at like towards end game, you can really make it like your focus fire DPS type. So, which I'm about to sort of segue into the whole combo system. When you do combos with the ranger, the enemy that you do the combo on, they then take more damage from like your weapons. So you could potentially like focus fire DPS people and burn them pretty quickly with the ranger. But yeah, the combos. Well, all right. So after saying all that, can we talk about what we don't like?
Oh,
Because
absolutely,
because
absolutely. Yeah,
I want like you said, I want to give this game a fair shake, but
yeah. Which I think we should also say too that like if we don't like something, we're gonna say that we don't like something. You know,
yeah.
like we're definitely not afraid to say that we don't like something. I think with this game,
Oh yeah.
with this game, it's a special case in that I think we wanted this game to be really good, and I think more than anything, it was a huge disappointment.
Which is why I'm like trying to pick my words because I don't want to say that I hate the game because like
Yeah.
I know where it could. Here's a perfect analogy. I am a disappointed parent. Like I know the potential. I know where it could go, or like a disappointed teacher or whatever. Like I expected more from this, and I know it has the potential to do more, but just right now, that ain't it, Chief.
Right, right. So I think that there are many problems with this game, and I think there are a lot that are sort of baked into the DNA of I don't know how much they can actually, and by they I mean Bioware. I don't know how much they can actually fix with this game, because it's just so much of it is just intrinsically tied to what this game is, and we'll explain as we go further, what I mean by that. But yeah, for things that what we don't like. I mean, you started with the story. You started with BioWare and its legacy with story. First of all, I don't think that BioWare is even remotely the same company that they were 10 years ago. I don't think that they were the same company that they were when they made Mass Effect 1 and 2, or even at the original Dragon Age. Like, I don't think that BioWare exists anymore. They haven't really had a hit with Mass Effect 3. I said that was kind of the start of the downfall. Even though that multiplayer was really well received, people hated that single player. The Mass Effect Andromeda, not good. The latest Dragon Age, I don't think people really liked that game very much. And none of those games were like really setting the charts on fire, the sales charts on fire with how much they were selling. So they it just doesn't seem like they're the same company. So I think that kind of applies to the story, the narrative, because people think, that's what I thought. I thought, like, I want to see what BioWare has been doing for the last 5 years. Like, what is their new story, the new IP that they're wanting to develop here? And the answer is, I don't know. The story that they've put into Anthem, I think the lore itself might be really interesting, but it's never presented in a way that it makes me interested in what's going on. I think that the voice acting is really good. Like, the performances that they managed to get are pretty good. I think decent to good. But it's baked in this story that you just don't give a shit about at all. Like, you just don't care about anything that's going on. The game sort of drops you. It does this thing that a lot of fantasy genre does, where it drops you directly into a story, throws a bunch of names and terms at you, and kind of expects you to kind of catch up as you go. And I think that can be good in the right context, but there's never an emotional thrust that feels earned. And there are several moments in the story. I won't say anything too spoilery here, but there are a few narrative twists that occur, and none of them hit with the emotional weight that BioWare means for you to feel. And that's upsetting. That's sad, coming from, the team that made Mass Effect 2, which had some of the tightest character interactions that I've experienced in a game narrative. I think that's where it kind of begins, like, right, with problems with the story.
Yeah, like you were saying, like I felt like with the writing of the story, they tried too hard to like pull it sort of, when listening to it, sort of felt like I was watching a Marvel movie, except that they turned the quips to 100.
Mm.
And another example of this is if you play Destiny, it felt like every character was Cade.
Oh my god. Yeah, I did. So that's a great point that I completely neglected to mention. That game is over. Anthem is overly quippy. Like, every line of dialogue ends with some smartass saying something quote unquote clever. Almost every single one. And like everyone has a specific quirk to them. Like, there's one character who's like, it's her running joke is like consistently making fun of the name of something. Like, what is it? It's like Sentinel Bray, I think her name is, or something like that. She's like always like, oh man, I can't even think of what the actual name of whatever she's making fun of is, but she's constantly making fun of this name. It's like not fun. And your character, the freelancer, is like, for comedic effect, is groaning, and it's like, but it's not a charming thing. It's like, this is just annoying now, and it's every character is that. They're all doing that, and it becomes very apparent that this is the game. This is the dialogue. I don't think it's written especially well. And again, I think a lot of that comes down to, we just don't we don't know enough. Too many of the interactions and character work they're done through these first person dialogue cutscenes that you experience in Fort Tarsus, which is this game's hub world. If you've played Destiny, it's like the tower kind of, um, and every like almost every single meaningful interaction just comes from you being in first person, pressing A or cross or X or whatever to like talk to these people, and that's it. Like that's like 80% of your interactions throughout this game. I have not found hardly any of those interactions to be meaningful or interesting in any kind of way. I think kind of one that's halfway gets there is the Matthias storyline, which kind of they all kind of end in a similar way. Like it like they all have three missions. Like there are three mission chains that you do, and they're all the same thing. They're all go here, shoot that. Now go here, stand here, hold square or X, and shoot this thing for like 5 minutes while you stand in the circle to wait for it to activate. Okay, now go there and do this. You do everything like 2 or 3 times per mission. Like that is the game. I was listening to Giant Bomb talk about it, and Jeff made a really good point of saying that what you're doing at hour 1 is the same thing that you're doing in hour 30, and that is so true. Like that encapsulates your experience with Anthem.
I say except for the fact that at the end game things can one shot you. Only difference.
Which I mean, is that fun? Like, that doesn't seem fun to me. The combat is like not even. Like the combat is okay. The combat's fine. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it doesn't have that kineticism, that alien feeling that something like Destiny has. Like the guns play a big part of that. They're just regular guns, you know? Like they're snipers, they're assault rifles, they're pistols. Like Destiny has some really strange weapons, and they feel different, right?
Yeah. See, and we can sort of talk about this later. Well, no, I mean, do you want to talk about like the weapons now?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, if it factors in the gameplay, sure.
Yeah. So with the weapons, the same weapons that you use at level 1 will be the same weapons that you use at level 30. They're all the same. So, and I'm at the point now where I'm level 27, 28. I'm starting to get what they call masterwork weapons, which is equivalent to, I guess, what Destiny's like, exotic weapons are. And like with those weapons, you'll get like the normal, like, well, let me say this. So with the loot system, you have uncommon, common, rare, epic, and then this masterwork. So with each stage that you get of these weapons, all they're really doing is increasing the damage, but then also adding like some sort of like, +4 damage or plus 15 reload speed. And like sometimes you'll get something where it's like, you're using a pistol, but then it gives you like a plus something, plus like 6 damage on sniper rifles, which cool, thanks, I guess, if you want to like at that point start building your character that way. So, like I said, with each rank of the loot system, is adding those little perks, but then at Masterworks, it's adding like a specific perk that could sort of like change your gameplay. So, like I recently got a machine pistol that when I shoot an enemy like in close range, I then get a buff to my melee I get a buff to my melee damage that multiplies it by 2.
Mm.
And mind you, you get this towards end game, as in like towards like the like level like 28, 29, 30. That's when you're getting like the meaningful weapons, which
Yeah.
hopefully at this point you're still playing the game.
Hopefully, Bioware and EA would hope you are.
Oh, and here's the thing. Here's the kicker: is that like I said, these masterwork weapons. Like earlier today, I was looking at the weapon, seeing what it is, and all it really is just an upgraded version of that same gun that you got at level 1.
That's so boring. I don't understand what the design philosophy behind that is. It makes you just wonder, like, was that the plan from the beginning? Did something change at some point in development? Like, did BioWare figure out that, like, oh, hey, we can't actually diversify anything? But why But why would they have done that? That just doesn't. It just doesn't make sense to me. They're making the same. They're not even making the same mistakes that Destiny made.
They're making
Destiny.
new mistakes.
That's. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that actually insane? Like they're making new mistakes that didn't exist prior in any of these loot shooters. Like I just don't understand how you could play any of the other games coming out. Like I could see some of the mistakes if they only played vanilla Destiny 1.
And that's what it feels like. It feels like someone at Bioware played vanilla Destiny 1 at launch and was like, this would make a really good idea for a video game. Let me go
Yeah,
ahead
but
and see if I could get people together and make the game. And then at that point, they never played Destiny again. They never went through the expansions. They never went through all the fixes. And in their mind thought that what Destiny 1 at launch is, a good enough reason to make their own version of it.
yeah, but then it's like, dude, I Destiny 1 vanilla was a better game than this.
It was. As
Like,
much as we complained about vanilla Destiny 1 at launch, I can honestly say that I enjoyed that more than I enjoyed Anthem.
and that sucks. That really sucks because this game was, and people who listen to our show know, like we talked about it before, um, but and you and I have talked privately about it. Like Anthem was like one of my most anticipated games like of this year. Like I thought that game looked fantastic. I did notice as soon as like the numbers started coming up on the enemies and like the loop looked similar, I did go, huh, that does look an awful lot like Destiny. But hey, maybe it's improved. Maybe it's better. It could be better than Destiny, right? It's not. Like it actually isn't. I don't even think it's better than hardly any of the other loot shooters that are out right now. I would say I would tell someone to go play Division before this. I think Division is largely a better game. There's no PvP in this in Anthem, which I think is fine. I don't think that's. I don't care a whole lot about PvP in games like this. So I think that's completely fine. So this game is built on the back of PvE, and the fact that the AI are not interesting to fight against, again, like you were saying earlier, like the same enemies you're fighting at hour 1, they're the same enemies that you're going to be fighting at 20, hour 20, and they're not any different. They don't really seem to get any smarter. They just hit harder. That's it. That is the game to me, and there's nothing more depressing than hearing than that. I understand there are people who out there who are enjoying it, and that's cool.
That's good for them.
I
envy them.
I just don't. It's a slog. I haven't played a game that I feel this bad about. I haven't played a game that I feel this bad about in a while. It's been a while since I've played a game that's made me feel like it's a slog. Like it feels like work,
The
honestly.
last time I felt this way was, and what I mean this way is like playing the game and like sitting there thinking, wow, like, am I having fun right now? I had to question whether or not like I'm enjoying what I'm doing at the time. The last time I had to think about that was hour 5 or 6 of playing No Man's Sky.
Mm, yeah. Oh man. Yeah, and I mean I got the same feeling of it felt like work. It genuinely felt like work. Playing Anthem and playing No Man's Sky. Like this and honestly that's a really great example actually because I think this encapsulates a lot of how I felt about No Man's Sky and that it was a game I was super anticipating. I thought it looked completely brilliant prior to release. It came out not at all how I was expecting to have fun with that game. But and that's kind of and even with Anthem, like it didn't hide the fact that it was a loot shooter. Like I mean, they celebrated that, and they even, you know, they. I don't think they openly. I don't know if I'm not sure. I might be wrong about this, but I don't believe they made super direct comparisons to Destiny. But if they did, I mean, they certainly weren't hiding the fact that this was like an established thing already. Whereas No Man's Sky was touted as this one of a kind, like never been done game. It comes out, it's just a survival game. Um, but I mean, this Anthem, it's very frustrating to me, and the more I talk about it, the more I think about it. Every day that passes, like I'm just like, what has happened? Like, what has actually happened with this game? I don't understand it at all.
Yeah.
Um, and
I I was gonna say I'd say that like if you haven't played the game yet, this is gonna lead into like a whole other point of like a gripe that I have about this game and just sort of like where the industry is going right now. But honestly, if you want to play this game, wait about 6 months to a year when all the fixes are done, they release some content, and they happen to sell a re-release of the game with all the DLC at a cheaper price. Which I mean, Anthem, I think they there's no paid DLC, which is great, so you won't feel jaded about that. But at $60, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd say wait until that content is there, wait until the fixes are there, and just wait for it at a cheaper price where you could get all of that all at once. Because honestly, right now you are not missing anything. If you want to play something, Destiny 2 is on sale. Pick
we
it
were
up.
we were literally playing that a week before Anthem came out.
Exactly.
And 90% of my time playing Anthem, I was like, I wish I was playing Destiny.
So, and that's just, it's a slap in the face to the consumer. Like, not even getting into the whole release schedule, which was, piss poor, which is really confusing.
Yeah.
Um, they essentially, you look at the people that paid the most money, they got the worst bit of the worst like playable version of the game first,
Yeah. And then they
and
got the
then
quote unquote day one patch.
they got the day one patch. What at that point it was like a week, right?
Yeah, that game was out. Yeah, it was out.
Within a week. By that point, you already push through all the BS. At some point in the game, you have to like all like story progression stops, and you have to do like these missions, which it leads up. It's like trials of something. I don't remember what it was called, but it's like a
Yeah.
trials thing. And you have to open up these 4 doors. You think, all right, cool. We have like maybe a boss, maybe unique levels. No, you literally spoiler alert, which I feel like at this point people won't really care. You'll probably hear this from other places too, but you literally open up those doors, walk up to a tomb, and it gives you some items, and that's it.
I I would also say that that it's important to note that you are forced to grind arbitrary goals at that point. So say like get 20 multi kills, open 30 chests, which don't, by the way, spawn very much. Um, go to 5 world events. Go collect. Go get 20 collectibles. Which, by the way, aren't marked on your map. You just have to aimlessly wander around the world, just hoping you stumble across them. Um, it's ridiculous. It's mind boggling. It's right smack dab in the middle of everything, and with no warning. And it's insane. It's actually baffling design. I don't know exactly what the point of that was.
Oh, I have a good idea. So, like I said, I mean, and this is a stretch. This is just like I'm pretty sure it's not the reason, but in my mind it makes sense. So the game released to the people that paid for it, paid extra money to get it, also paid for like the EA access people. They're able to play it early too. I feel like at some point the people that paid like the cheapest amount, which is like $15 or whatever, they wasn't there like a timer or something for those people? Like they could only play like a certain amount of time
Oh,
in the
like
game.
for 10 hours or something.
Exactly. I feel like once you hit the 10-hour mark, that's when that mission comes up, and then you have to like grind out all that stuff. At that point, you can't finish the game.
Mm.
And then of course,
Yeah.
day one patch comes out, they fix it, but at that point, everyone's mad. Which I mean, like I said, that's a stretch. It's a reach. I know that's not the reason why, but
Yeah.
it's because they did end up fixing it. Now at this point, when you start the game, it starts tracking all that stuff for you already. So for some people, like once you get to that point, you honestly might have a lot of things completed already. But at that point, there's no reason for you to do free roam, which that's where you do the world events. So certain things you do have to like jump out and grind those out. You have to grind out the chests. something else that sort of like it just adds extra hours. That's all that was. It was an extra padding to the game completion. So
Right. Right. It was ridiculous. Chris, you and I played with a friend of mine, and she couldn't even finish it. She turned the game in. That broke her. And honestly, I don't blame her at all. Like it's an extremely frustrating moment in what's already an extremely frustrating game at times, most of the time, and it's truly baffling. I'm going to finish it. I'm close to the end already, so I might as well just see it down to the end. Um, but I don't know. I don't know how this game develops from here. Does this sync Bioware? I have no idea. I think it's a little too early to tell. We don't have any sort of numbers. MPD obviously isn't out yet. I wouldn't be surprised if this game has had a solid start. It just is. It cannot maintain that player base. We have Division 2 literally right around the corner, less than a month after this game releases. That's a share of its player base. Destiny 2 is getting a big update soon, like maybe in the next week or two as of this recording. So that's a big player base, a chunk of player base gone. Um, I mean, does Anthem last until month 2 or 3? Like Apex is big right now. It's only getting bigger. Like I mean, I know granted that's a different kind of game, but I mean, in terms of these big social games, like those are big names. Like those are big games that are going to be taking Twitch space. Those are going to be taking players away from the Anthem player base. Like, can Anthem survive? I mean, they have a plan right now. They have a roadmap with free DLC for at least a year. Do they make it to that year? I don't know. I sure hope so for the sake of everyone's job at BioWare. Like, I don't want to see anybody lose their jobs. I want to see everyone be as successful as possible. Um, but has this game gotten bad enough press to where like it doesn't sell enough and EA, you know, it has to kill
it,
another studio? Like I don't know.
I'll say this. Bungie was looking at the same thing when Destiny 1 launched. Granted,
Yeah.
not to this level, but
Yeah.
it was bad. It
I
was
mean,
pretty bad.
what I mean, was it though? Like, I mean, people were still enjoying Destiny a whole lot. Like, there were still like the word of mouth on Destiny wasn't this bad. Like people weren't saying Destiny's the bad game. They were saying that like Destiny's low on content. Destiny's like not super clear about everything. Like I don't see the same fervor. Like people could latch onto something with Destiny. Like people were like, this combat is fun. Like the combat is what is keeping me coming back to it. It's fun playing with friends. I mean, granted, it's fun playing anything with friends, but I mean, like the social aspects were there. Like I don't see. There are moments in Anthem when we haven't even talked about like the social spaces. So the launch bay, there's something called a launch bay. It functionally it's like so you know how earlier I was talking about how Fort Tarsis is like the tower. The launch bay is like the social version of the tower, where it's like this very, very small space that takes place in Fort Tarsis, but it's not the same. It's not in the same area, but it places you in an instance with other people. However, even if you're in a party with 2 other or 3 other people, or however many other people, you don't get instanced in that same group of people. So you can't even be with your friends in that social space together willingly. That's insane to me. Destiny had nothing like this.
I think that launch bay was like tacked on last minute.
You think so?
Because yeah, I mean it's literally like a square space where you have, you can go to the forge, you could go to the vault, you can look at your daily, weekly, and monthly goals. And of course, you have a store where you can spend your money and buy new skins. That's all it is. I feel like that was just like a hey, let's just make a quick area where people could just sort of,
Yeah, half-ass.
yeah.
That's it. It really feels like so much of this game is that you could just say that it is that, um, which sucks because it's like they did spend 5 years on it. 5, 6 years on this game. Like, obviously, people poured their blood, sweat, and tears into it, but it's just like, just some of the decisions are just baffling to me. Just
There's
completely baffling.
I'll say it now. There's gonna be a story that's gonna break, and this is just me being a prognosticator. There will be a story like Kotaku will like release some sort of deep dive on what really happened in the development of Anthem, and it will all make sense. Like had an original plan, you know, but then they realized they had to scrap it. It was maybe too ambitious, and I feel like everything got scrapped, uh, like right before launch, and then they had to like release like a bare bone version of, you know, the game. Because when you go back and look at like the initial trailer and like the gameplay demo of the game, like the fort is not as like, you know, it's not as lively as it is now. The I mean, there's like it's just so much missing from that just didn't make it into the main game. So I honestly feel like there's a backstory behind this. Like there's no way that they could have went 5-6 years to develop a game and this is all we're getting. To then say, hey guys, there's fixes coming a couple months down the road. Like, why aren't these fixes here? If you had 5 or 6 months, 5 or 6 years to work on a game, what, you know, 2 extra months, like, is that like I don't get how that's gonna fix it.
I wonder why they hamstring you with the flying. Like the best thing in that game, and they like you can't do enough of it. Like I know I said that, like, that was the first thing I said with this game was like that I liked was that the flying, and I do. I meant that, but why? Why is it limited? Why is it so limited? I can understand maybe putting like actually no, I don't know if I understand putting any limits on it, but if you do, why are they so harsh? Because that cooldown is quick.
Yeah.
Like it's quick. It's like I don't I don't know.
Maybe it's to stop you from like really like exploring the open world. Maybe it's to stop you
But
stop you from
why?
seeing. So maybe it's to stop you from seeing that the open world is really like is barren. Like there's been a couple times where I would fly around and for some reason get glitched into the map, and I don't know. Like I feel like it's that common like, hey, let's just, you know, put let's sweep it under the rug and like hopefully no one can notice.
And that's problematic to me. It's like why would you not want people to explore your world? Like you've created this beautiful landscape. Why are you limiting what the players can do in that world? Don't you want people to poke around and explore and have fun? Like I don't. That's what I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding the mentality that design. That I want to be a fly on the wall in that room the day that decision was made. Like I want to know why that was a good idea for them. Um, it just seems like a lot of things just don't connect and they don't make sense and the systems just don't jive very well. It seems like the game is actively working against you. We haven't even talked about the loot yet. Like we've talked about like what the actual guns are, but the loot drops are not satisfying at all. So it's sort of a certain point you get at a certain level you get certain drops. So once you hit like what 15 or 16, you start getting blues,
And you get
like
all blues.
like
So like,
all blues,
yeah.
right? Right. And then once you hit like what 30, then you just get epics or something.
Well, yeah, so I'm noticing that the epics are starting to drop. Like they're starting to drop down for me, but not as like often. They're rare. But because I haven't hit 30 exactly yet. So, you know, once I hit that, I'll be able to tell you guys if there's any real difference. But yeah, like at this point, all I'm getting are epics. Every now and then I'll get like a green, or no, every now and then I'll get like a blue or green, which is rare. And like if the game really feels like spitting in my face, which it does sometimes, it'll throw me a white, which is a common. And yeah, all of that stuff is just it's tied. It's, you know, algorithms. It's tied to like what level of loot that you're getting. So, which once again, like we said earlier, the loot is all the same loot. Like their weapons is still the same. Your abilities, which is wild, all the same loot that you get at level 1 is the same loot that you're getting at level 30.
That's just not right. There's something not right about that.
I was listening. I think it might have been Giant Bomb, but they were saying that in the alpha of this game, you actually had a skill menu. Like you had like abilities and stuff that you can unlock, but they
Mm.
scrapped it.
Mm. Yeah, that's frustrating.
And I'm honestly surprised we haven't we haven't talked about this yet. Which, if you take the total amount of time that you played this game, I can guarantee you 1/4 of your total play time is this. But the load screens the loading in this game is complete crap. Like, I understand loading into, the worlds, do your mission, but when you're in that world to then load into like a dungeon or like a cave, like, it's at this point, like with the tech that we have now, doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Which we talked about this while we were playing on the. I think we said this on the stream, but Destiny does a great job of hiding this fact. Which, I mean, granted, they had problems like this before in Destiny 1. They fixed it in Destiny 2, but um, like when you're at these loading screens, you literally can't do anything. At least Destiny, if you're loading into a new world, they'll give you the option to mess with your weapons, mess with your abilities. Like, you cannot do that once you load it into the game. The only time you have to like change your guns, to change your abilities, is when you're in the fort.
Mm.
So, like, for me, if I load up a mission and realize, oh crap, I have no abilities that could allow me to do combos, I can't do anything about it. Or let's say for some reason I'm messing around with a loadout and then I decide to swap to another javelin and I don't really have anything equipped on that javelin, but then start the mission without even thinking about it, I won't have anything on me.
Yeah.
So certain things that, like, Destiny will like at least cover the fact that they're loading screens by letting you do something at that point. It doesn't make sense why you can't do anything.
No, it doesn't. That's the theme of this conversation, and I feel like Anthem in general is that it's nothing makes sense, and it's disappointing. It's disappointing, man. I mean, I probably sound really sad talking about it because it is sad. Like, I wanted this game to be much better than it is, and I think it could be. I just don't know how much of this they can just patch out, just patch away. I think
Oh yeah, they're gonna have to do like heavy updates. Like, the one of the biggest things I feel like they should add is that feature of changing your loadout. Like, every game in the loot shooter genre will let you like go into the options, go into your menu, and change your guns, change your
on the
abilities, like,
fly, on the
on the
fly.
fly. Like, that's a staple at this point. And like,
Yeah.
I with it took me to this point playing this game to realize that, holy crap, like, I really appreciate that they let us do that in other games.
Yeah, you can't do what you have is what you have for the mission. You cannot change. In fact, changing is a pain in the ass because you have to go through the Forge menu, which is a separate menu entirely from everything else. So if I'm in Fort Tarsis, I have to the main hub world. I have to go into a separate menu. If I want to go to an expedition, I say, "Oh, hey, all right, Chris, come into my room. We're gonna go do a mission real quick." Go to Fort Tarsis. We go to the expedition menu. That's a loading menu. Then once we load in, um, we come to the map. Oh wait, I gotta go to the forge. I gotta change my javelin real quick. I have the wrong one equipped. Hold triangle or Y or whatever, and go into the forge menu to change it. That's a loading screen. Go ahead and change it. Come pop out. That's a loading screen, and then go back and select the mission. Another loading screen, and then that's like the longest one. It's like the 30-second one, 30 to 40-second one. It's insane. There's way too much loading in this game. And there's I don't understand the technical reason why. I wish that I did. Maybe there is a hidden one, but it just doesn't make sense to me why you have to go into a separate menu to load your javelin loadout. It just makes zero sense.
Yeah. I don't.
I don't
That's
know.
like, yeah. That's the biggest thing about this game. Like, like, you just I don't know. Like, I like you said, I really wish I could have been in that room when they decided to scrap some things. That's gonna be a good story to hear down the road, and definitely once that story drops, you'll know where to go to hear people talk about it. Should I play that?
Hmm.
And I guess official rating for this right now would be to no, like, don't play this. Like, pass. It's a hard pass. Like I
Yeah.
said, before, wait 6 months to a year when all the bugs are ironed out. If they decide to fix certain issues that people have with it, that they fix it, and then of course when they make a price drop, that'll be the time to pick it up. But until then, you have Destiny 2, Destiny 2 has a new update coming up really soon. You have Division 2, which, I think there's an open beta this weekend. So as of this recording, when you listen to it, go ahead and download it, which I think is March 1st.
March 1st to the 4th.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely check that out. But, man, oof. It's like you said, it's disappointing.
Yeah. And after this episode, I'm going to go finish it up.
Yeah. So, that's, what our impressions are of Anthem. Hopefully next week we'll give like our updates on that.
I wouldn't expect it to be too much different.
But yeah, we'll see if there's any changes. But next up, let's go ahead and real quick talk about the news that's happened in the past week. Which it's been a pretty slow news week. Nothing major, but we do have two main things that we sort of want to bring up. We could go ahead and start with Microsoft and Nintendo. They potentially could be linking up. All of this is like, hearsay, like
it's
rumor
rumors.
mill. It's all rumors. So, when you're on Facebook or you're on like, some messaging board and someone's saying, "Hey, I'm going to be able to play Gears of War on my Switch," all rumors. It's not real.
Right. And I think that at first it will be things like Ori in the Blind Forest. Like I think that's a really good title, not necessarily because of the platformer nature of it, but just because I think that is a really great that's a really great and easy title to kind of like share between the consoles. Like, well, I think we should also clarify that the what's happening is that what's the main rumor is that the Game Pass is going to come to Switch, which would be insane, because that is a partnership that is it unprecedented? I can't think of another partnership in in video game history that kind of did that, except maybe Nintendo and Sega when Sega went third party. But I mean, obviously, it's not the same thing because Microsoft isn't, they're not a third party company. But I do think that that's a big deal, and I would be very curious how that would work in terms of is this something that, I mean, clearly it's something that would be streamed, right? Or is it something that you would download certain titles? Like I'm curious how that would work.
Yeah, I think for the most part it might be a streaming thing, which I feel like we're inching closer to, that being, a reality. You have Google about to announce something at GDC, which I'm thinking is going to be like a streaming box. I just feel like it's the way of the future. So
Right.
I'm all for it. I think
Right.
that's definitely like the way to go. Because it's not cheapening either brand at
No,
all.
not at all. No, I mean Microsoft's getting their money, and Nintendo would be getting theirs by letting you playing on their platform, obviously. Um, and I think it's also important to note too that during GDC there was or I'm sorry, GDC has not taken place yet, but there was an announcement that was teased essentially, and it was who said this? It was someone from the Microsoft camp, I believe, teased an announcement about Microsoft bringing Xbox Live like to Switch and also mobile devices. So like, iOS and Android, which would be really interesting. And I think the rumors kind of spun off from there, saying that it's not just going to be Xbox Live, it will be Game Pass in addition to that, which Xbox Live totally makes sense. I am curious if they would work on some sort of online infrastructure with Nintendo. Potentially, like maybe Nintendo could learn a thing or two. That would be cool. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think that the Xbox Live thing is almost for certain happening, but I don't think it's too far of a stretch to say that Game Pass might be something that follows as well. I mean, Nintendo and Microsoft are already kind of tight with the cross-platform stuff, like with Minecraft and Rocket League and What else?
Fortnite.
Fortnite. Thank you. Yeah, Fortnite. So they're already pretty close with that, and so I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, uh, I mean, it's all rumor. So, I guess cool to speculate this stuff, but I've always been the type where I try not to get too like into speculation. Like it's cool to
Right.
talk about to see like, hey, this might happen, yada yada yada.
Right.
50% of the time, that doesn't hapen.
Yeah,
So
we spend 20 minutes talking about something that never
never.
materializes.
I've literally done that before with like I guess at some point if I do like do like a lost episodes of should I play that apart,
Hmm.
and shout out to my boy Sasquatch Gaming, which is a YouTube channel. We did like a pre E3 like Nintendo like direct, like not spoiler, but like Nintendo direct like rumor mill thing, and I want to say 75% of the stuff that we talked about like didn't happen. And this is all from like sources that are like quote unquote credible sources. 70% of that stuff was just never happened. So I really I don't really move I don't care about speculation anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's a cool conversation, like water cooler
Yeah.
conversation, but at the end of the day, hey, like I need the hard facts. That's what I
Yeah.
need.
Yeah, I think we can probably safely assume that at least Live is coming to Switch. Especially Microsoft's been making a lot of moves lately with backwards compatibility and Play Anywhere. I just think it makes sense. And obviously they're gearing up for next gen. I think this would be a great move for them to do this. Um, and I guess we'll see what ends up happening with it.
See what happens.
Yeah.
And so moving off of that, we have our last bit of news, which was just announced the day of us recording this, but new Pokemon games are on the way. So Gen 9 or Gen 8, is it Gen 8 or 9?
I think it's 8.
Yeah, Gen 8 is here. Oh, it's coming soon.
Yeah.
So Pokemon Sword and Shield is coming out late 2019, and once again, they Nintendo, they day before said, "Hey guys, Pokemon Direct coming out tomorrow. This is when it is." And hearing that, I was like, "Oh, cool. We have a Pokemon Direct. It'll at least be like 20, 30 minutes. They'll like give us some deep dives on like some new gameplay, whatnot." No, guys, it was 7 minutes. 7 minutes.
And with a minute and a half worth of footage, if that.
Exactly. So um I well, let me just lead off with this. Rod, what do you think about Pokemon Sword and Shield? Like, what are your takeaways? How do you feel?
It's Pokemon. It looks like a Pokemon game, which I mean sounds disparaging, but I mean I'm just not like a huge Pokemon fan. Like I mean it's cool, Pokemon's cool. I will say that I put 30 hours into Let's Go Pikachu recently, picking that game up literally off the. I'm a dirty Gen 1er as they call me, as they call people, and so I have a lot of fondness for that gen, that and the gold and silver gen, the Johto region. Um, but other than that, I think I played X and Y, and that was it. So I'm not like a huge Pokemon guy, but I mean, yeah, it looked cool. I will say that the environments looked really nice as well. It looked like they had a lot more going on. Like it looked more graphically complex than other Pokemon games. The brief,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the brief snippets that we got. Like there was like a snowstorm at one point, and like this like 19th century England looking city, like almost maybe with a little bit of steampunk. It looked like I could be completely talking out of my ass right now with the steampunk thing. It just kind of looked like that. But um, yeah, and then they have like a sweeping countryside. It looked really it looked cool. Like it looked like Pokemon to me. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I can't say that the starters were super interesting to me though.
yeah, let me pull up the names. It's we have Grookey, which is the grass type. It's a like a grass monkey. Then
Okay.
have Scorbunny, which is the fire type,
Okay.
and it's a bunny. And then you have, which I think is pronounced Scroble, which is like a water lizard Pokemon. So once again, like very little information. Like, of course, the starter Pokemon, they're like the pre-evolutions. They're the small, like the baby versions of their final evolution.
Right.
Because me coming from me, like I'm a hardcore Pokemon fan. As in, like when people were talking like, oh, I'm gonna start the game off with the fire type, or I'm gonna start the game off with like the whoever's the cutest. I'm pushing up my glasses. I'm like, no, I have to see the final forms, see the stats, see the move list, and I have to see all of that before I make my decision.
Mm-hmm.
So I like getting this information was cool, but for me it wasn't enough. So, and it sort of leads into what I was saying before about reading leaks and reading rumors online.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of things that I've read that we might get in this generation that sort of was hinted at this trailer, but not really. And I'm not going to try and read into it because I don't want to be disappointed. But I mean, it like you said at the beginning, it's a Pokemon game. I'm excited about it. We have our Switch Pokemon game. That's great. Like, I mean, I'm happy for it. But like the hardcore fan in me is like, I need to know more. I need to just like see more and get more information. But I'll say this: I'm a, and I think I'm gonna be in the minority in this one. So like, slay me in the comments if you think I'm
Slay
dirty
me.
for. So if you think I'm dirty for saying this, but I'm gonna miss the Let's Go, like seeing like in Pokemon Let's Go. I'm gonna miss seeing the Pokemon in the wild, like seeing them out in the overworld.
And that's kind of crazy that they're getting rid of that. Like, uh, like I liked that. Like I liked the idea that I'm not walking into grass and just randomly getting hit with a battle. Like I like the ability to be able to see like, okay, like I'm going to battle. Like I'm mentally prepared. You know, I can go through a cave and it's not insanely frustrating walking 2 steps and getting hit with a battle. Like that's cool.
Yeah, like I'm gonna miss the choice of if I want to look for a Pikachu, I can actually like sit there and sort of wait until I see a Pikachu and go after the Pikachu, as opposed to just spinning circles in the grass and hoping I get a Pikachu. So it's gonna be, I don't know, I'm gonna miss that dearly. It's
Yeah.
gonna but like I said, it's really early. They really didn't give too much information about anything about the story, or they just said like they just gave us a name. They gave us the starters and the region and like some like screenshots of that, which I mean is cool, but it's
We need
it,
more.
yeah, it's really weird. Like I'm excited about it, but I don't sound excited.
Yeah,
That's
no, I mean
that's how I feel.
it's just not enough to go on. You know,
Yeah.
it's not enough to get like insanely hyped about these things. I mean, people are posting like reaction videos and doing all that number, but I mean, it's like you what can you really do about 60 to 90 seconds worth of footage? You know, like even hardcore, super hardcore Pokemon people that I know, like outside of yourself, like they were like, okay, cool. Like that looks cool. Looks like Pokemon. All right,
Nope.
I'm in. I'm down. Whenever that releases, I will buy that.
Nope.
Like
It was wild. Like I on YouTube, like I saw some YouTubers I follow, and like they posted I guess like a reaction to like the trailer.
right.
20 minutes. 20 minutes of like what I haven't even seen the video yet,
It's
but
a
20
little
minutes of them talking about a 60-second trailer, which they really didn't show too much about. So, more power to them. I mean, they
sure.
got to get their bread somehow. They got to put that content out. But as opposed to me, I'm gonna wait until we get like a deeper dive into it.
Yeah, probably a good choice. A better
Yeah.
choice, one might say. um, but yeah, like it looks cool. We'll see what happens. I'm sure they'll talk about it around. We probably won't hear anything about it until E3, if I had to guess. I don't think that game is coming out until November, October or November. So I doubt that we'll hear about it again until E3, which is
Yeah,
fine.
which typically they come out in November. So
Right, right. I mean, I'm assuming Animal Crossing comes out in the fall too, sometime, maybe like a month apart. Like
yeah.
so if Pokemon is in November, I would have to assume that Animal Crossing is like October. It's got to be fall though. I don't think it comes out any sooner than October. I'd be pleasantly surprised if it did, but I don't know. I mean, we have not heard a damn thing about that game, so I don't know.
Yeah. So, well, wrapping up with that, that's pretty much the show this week.
Yeah.
Episode 1 in the bag.
In the bag. And next time you hear from us, we will be talking exclusively about Kingdom Hearts 3.
Exactly. So, as of this recording, which I feel like we're gonna try and consistently drop content on Fridays. So if you like to hear the episodes fresh, as soon as hot off the presses, Fridays 12 noon. That's when we're aiming to put everything out.
Yep.
So if you're listening to us now, like as it's being live or like on Friday, I appreciate you. Like you hear this? This is me like patting you on the shoulder. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. But on Sunday, we will be doing a live spoiler cast of Kingdom Hearts 3. And we're doing that on Facebook. I feel like as of right now, Facebook is sort of going to be our platform for doing our live content. And we're going to have a special guest. We'll have Darian Buttface. She is a cosplayer and a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. Like as soon as I feel like we both happen.
We should clarify that is also her Instagram handle. Chris is not being rude.
Whoops. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just realized. Yeah. Context wise, yeah, I should have said that. That's her Instagram handle. But me and her, we happen to have beat Kingdom Hearts 3 around the same time, and literally like we could have. I honestly feel like we should have recorded like our pure reactions to the ending of the game, but we like sat there for like a good hour and a half, 2 hours talking about it. So she's a huge fan and can't wait to talk to her live with you guys about just the whole game in general. So it's going to be a spoiler cast, so if you haven't finished the game, the spoiler cast is going to be archived, so you can tune back into it later. If you did finish it, go ahead and join, ask some questions in the chat. But and also, if you don't care about being spoiled, you're more than welcome to join us.
Definitely, please do.
Yeah. So that's happening Sunday.
Sunday
at 9. Yep, at 9 p.m.
9 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, I gotta remember
that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
Appreciate that. So Rod, you got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I figure I will end the show exactly how I started it by saying thank you again to everybody who's tuned in from the streams or episode 0, to everybody we've let know about the show. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook. Follow us on all of those platforms, or just your platform of choice. I think actually, can you clarify, Chris, really quick? We're syncing the upload times for these episodes?
Yeah, they all should be dropping around the same time.
Okay, cool. So no matter where you're subscribing from or following or whatever, you'll be able to catch us. We are so happy to be back and doing this consistently. Like it's always fun. It feels like we haven't missed too many steps. I'm sure we'll get even better and even more comfortable as time goes on here. But I do appreciate everybody who listens to even just a couple minutes. Like it means a lot. So thanks, guys.
Yep. And look at this. This episode is not almost 2 hours. So get used to that. We'll typically aim for around where this episode is, gonna lay out at. So thank you for people that actually sat through the whole almost 2 hours of episode 0. That's wild. But yeah, I also many thanks. Really appreciate all the feedback, all the messages, and here's more to come. So with that, it's Chris and Rod signing out for Should I Play That? And guys, stay beastly.